let's learn to tune our instruments today. So we're all in lockdown, far away from our friends and our teachers and our students and our loved ones, and it's depressing. So a lot of us are ordering instruments from online because we need a hobby since we're stuck in the house, and we're having a hard time getting it in tune so that we can play properly. So let's walk through that first, of how to set everything up. And we're going to do the most basic. We're not going to get into any measurements of a real setup. We're just going to get you going. So the first thing first is to make sure that we have a bridge on our instrument, and the way that this is held on is strictly by tension of our strings themselves. So we need to make sure that I'm doing it, I did it, I loosened up all my strings, so that your strings are loose so that you can fit this in between, under our strings. And it fits in between our little notches right there on our F holes. So we're going to want it to be as straight as possible. And we're going to have to continue to adjust that as we tune up our instrument, because as we're tightening our strings, it's going to make the bridge lean. It's going to pull the bridge more forward. So we have to watch this, and we're going to take it pretty slowly. So your strings are all loose, especially because the winter, the low pressure wave came through and everything's out of tune. Oh, goodness me. So I have floppy strings, and Miss Rachel, I don't know what to do. Let's fix it. So let's just go ahead and start with our A. A. You can either use an app or a keyboard, piano, whatever it may be. I use both. I usually can sing my A pretty closely. I do not have perfect pitch. I only have relative pitch, but this has been driven through my head plenty. So there's my A, 440A, and I'm not even close. What the heck do I do? I'm going to make sure that all of my fine tuners are in the middle, so that I can either go up or down as I continue to fine tune my instrument. So I'm going to gross tune my instrument. I'm going to use my pegs here. So if you are starting with the string already up there, then we're going to want to pop it backwards just ever so slightly. So take your peg and just pop it backwards. So let's start with that A. I'm putting it on my knees, and since I'm tuning on this side first, I'm going to hold my violin with my left hand and pluck with my left thumb. And I'm going to gently turn my A peg. And as I do that, I'm going to slightly push in. I am not shoving my peg through the peg box. Okay, we want to be gentle with this. So we're going to listen. Bum, bum. We want to get all the way up there, so we're going to keep tuning. Awesome. So it might take you a while. Make sure you're pushing in very slightly as you push in. If it is not staying, if it's continuously slipping back, because not because you're not pushing it in, because you have too much oil on there, then you can take some chalk, like regular chalk from a chalkboard if you happen to have one of those, or you can take your rosin. I have rubbed my bow against the pegs so that I can have it be sticky so it will grab it. If your pegs are too sticky, then make sure you get some anti-seize foam for your pegs. All right, all those disclaimers. So back to our A. I have to bring that up. And so I'm going to keep. So that's too far. Either I can back it off with my peg, or I can use my fine tuner. I know I can bring it really close with that. So I'm not going to fine tune it yet because I have 3 other strings I have to worry about. And as I put different pressure on this bridge with the tension of the strings, it's going to knock the other strings in and out of tune. So next, let's do our D. We're going to do those two middle ones. So A, D, not even close. So super floppy. And I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to have my right hand on the bout of the instrument, and I'm going to pluck with my right thumb. Thumb. So as I tighten, I'm going to slightly push in. So I'm slightly high. I'm going to leave it for now. So with my G string, I'm all floppy here. If it was too tight, I would release so that it doesn't snap forward and then you snap your string. Because this is like the scariest thing ever. It's like diffusing a bomb. All right, here's my G. G. That's pretty darn close. All right, and then I'm going to go all the way over to my string, E string, and this is probably the scariest. I have been terrified to tune some students' instruments. If your strings are too old, they are going to be more likely to snap, so make sure that you're changing your strings regularly. So I'm too low. Keep going, keep going. Oh, I did not push in far enough with that one. So that's pretty close. But my A dropped. All right, that's still too low. Oh, that D went out again. That's too high. There we go. And I'm going to double check my my bridge, and I'm going to ever so carefully, I put this against my belly here, and I hold the bottom of the bridge like this. If we were in person, I wouldn't let you do this on your own. Ever so slightly, I'm going to take my 3 fingers and I'm going to pull it over, just that simple, ever so slightly, so that I can have it straight. And now let's retune once again. So, A, let's tighten it. All right, I'm close. D, bring it back up. All right, that's too high, but we're going to keep going anyway. G. All right, and then E. Too low, we're going to bring it up again. That looks pretty close, so I'm going to show you how to do that with the fine tuner. I'm using my son's phone because my phone is handling the camera up there. You can download any free fine tuner, chromatic tuner, guitar tuner, whatever you want. As long as it listens to you. So when you first start tuning, especially with the pegs, it's going to be easier to pluck. When fine tuning, I use a bow because it's going to give you a more true sound. But we're going to stick with this for now anyway. So A, it says that I'm flat. So if I'm playing high, it's going to be closer to that A sharp. Gosh, his phone is dirty. Oh, man. So I'm going to try to get it as close as possible to that A. And I'm just using those fine tuners down here. Righty-tighty makes it go higher. Lefty-loosey makes it go lower. So when we're like this and we're doing that, that's where it starts to get a little bit confusing. But we can do that. And it's actually a really good practice too. D. That E is like way up. All right. D. That's really close. When I tune in fifths, it does not always line up there. All right, G. I'm sharp there, so I'm going to loosen it until I'm very, very close to that center. And then E. I'm too low, so I'm going to bring it up and a tighten. D, D sharp, and then all the way up to E. And then go through again and double check everything. And have patience with yourself. This is something that takes a while. You have to train your ears, you have to train your fingers, all these muscles, so that you can move the pig smoothly without going from one extreme to the other. So very small movements. And I usually encourage my students to start using just the fine tuners first, and then I get them to use the picks as they get more comfortable with their instrument. Keep practicing this, and remember, practice makes awesome.